Hey Internet, it is Movie Dragon 009 back again with another movie review. First off, I want to say, well, I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas holiday. I know I did. I got a lot of cool stuff. I'm not here to brag about that. And see, I would have posted this review earlier, but as you might have guessed, if you've seen my last video, you'll know that I temporarily lost my camera during that time. And I found it again, and it just found me in the dumbest places. I really hate that when it happens. You lose something and then it shows up in like the most idiotic place that you could think of. So yeah, that happened to me. And I actually found the camera again like a couple days ago, but I thought, you know, it's the holidays. You know, I'll give these guys a break before posting another video. And I know it's been a long time since I posted the last video. I mean, not counting the apology video, but still. Here we go again, back on business. So, I guess this is like the last video I'll be posting for 2013. I mean, like, wow, where did the time go? I mean, it seems like only yesterday I was only beginning to post these reviews. Kind of crazy, you know, how that's happened. And, it's been a good year, but that's not what I'm here. What I want to focus on is the new Hobbit movie, The Desolation of Smaug. Now, my family has this tradition of seeing a movie like on Christmas Eve, you know, before we all head home to have our little Christmas present and everything. And the past couple of years, like this year included, have been some of the Hobbit movies, the last year's Unexpected Journey. So obviously this year, it had to be Desolation of Smaug. Oh, I love seeing that name. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to actually get around and doing a review of that movie. I mean, come on, I did that trailer reaction like last time. Now, obviously, it's been a couple weeks since the movie first came out, so I'm probably not going to be revealing too much that isn't already known. But, you know, there might be some people who still haven't seen it. Why haven't you? What's wrong with you? But still, you know, just for their sake, I'm going to put a spoiler alert. So, let's talk about this new installation in Peter Jackson's adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's saga, The Hobbit. First off, as always, we've got to talk about the plot. So, we catch up with Bilbo and Gandalf and the dwarves, getting still on the run from Azog the Defiler and all his men, and they're still going on their quests to get to the Lonely Mountain. And along this journey, they meet a lot of unique characters. There's Beorn, the skin changer, turns into a big Norse bear. We don't see a lot of this guy as much as we should, which is kind of surprising to me. And then we finally get to Mirkwood, where Gandalf decides up and go, you know, abandon the dwarves and Bilbo. I mean, considering that, you know, there's the necromancer, and it's starting to get a little bit more concerning. Seriously. I'm not even kidding. They step outside, and you can tell that something evil is living in Mirkwood. It's pretty creepy. And so, we follow the dwarves and Bilbo as they go off into the forest, and then they encounter all sorts of weird stuff, like, I think the most scary one was the hallucinations. Seriously, it's like a freaking out mind trip. Kind of freaky. And of course, they run into the spiders. Arachnophobes beware. And the dwarves also get captured by the Sylvan Elves of Mirkwood, among which are Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom, returning from the Lord of the Rings, kind of a nice surprise. And also a brand new character, Tauriel, the Wood Elf. They also get to meet Thranduil, the Elven King, played by Lee Pace. He's kind of a jerk. And then after they get done with that, they escape to the barrels. They'll get attacked by some orcs, some more, who are led by Azog's son, Bolg. Creepy looking guy. And they finally get to Lake Town, and they finally climb up the Lonely Mountain and enter to visit Smaug. Again, I just thinking about the dragon, it's amazing. It's awesome. I'll get to that later. So the plot of the movie closely follows the plot of the book, except that this time around, they threw in, like, a ton of action. Like, a freaking lot. It can be overwhelming at times. And I guess for a lot of people, it's actually a nice relief, given how long the first movie was. It's just a lot of exposition. I didn't really mind. I kind of liked getting all the information, but for a lot of people that was boring as heck. But they did shorten a lot of big, heavy scenes and cut some other scenes out. Like, for example, like, Bomber in the movie, he doesn't say much, but his character actually goes some pretty heavy deals in the book. Like, there's a stream they're told not to get wet in, but Bomber falls in, and he forgets his memory for a little bit. And that, I think, was an important part of the book, but they left that out. But in exchange, we did get a pretty awesome scene of him, like, rolling around in a barrel and slicing up some orcs and popping out of the barrel, slicing up some orcs some more, and then popping back into another barrel, and holy, he's back! I'm getting ahead of myself. They also, like, Bjorn didn't have much of a presence here. I mean, like, in the book, they just go and, like, Gandalf was aware that Bjorn isn't very fond of visitors, so he has him going, like, 2 at a time to try to... I think it's kind of the same deal with what he did with Bilbo at the beginning of the movie. But here, they basically run him in Bjorn while he's a bear, and they have to wait in his house until he turns back into a man. Which I thought was pretty odd. They kind of made Bjorn into this bear thing? I don't know. Kind of odd. They had the spiders. Like, well, I'm glad they got the spiders. They're kind of a necessary thing. And I'm really glad that they let the spiders talk, because, yeah, a lot of people were creeped out, but I think that was a necessary part of the book, because otherwise, where's Bilbo going to get the name for his sword? And obviously, they added in that whole action scene down the river, because otherwise it would have been just a pretty boring part of the movie, I guess. If all the dwarves are just, like, scooting along down the river, no big deal, in the barrels. Of course, granted, that wouldn't be very comfortable in the first place. In Lake Town, there's actually a lot of political conspiracy going on. That's kind of surprising. Like the Master of Lake Town, played by Stephen Fry, he's a really corrupt leader, and we get that sort of sense in the book. But here, there's like this. It's got this whole network of spies and everything. Actually, that sounds really familiar. Well, they're all watching Bard for some reason, because like apparently he's kind of like the populi vox, voice of the people. Everybody likes him, and so the Master of Lake Town is not very fond of that guy. There's a lot of like inner conspiracy going on. It's really weird, you know, how they managed to slip that in. And of course, like the biggest change that they made to the entire story is obviously the addition of Tauriel. I can't remember the actress who played her. Sorry, fans. My bad. And that's got a lot of people talking, but honestly, I mean, she kicked a lot of butt. So she was pretty awesome, just like slicing and dicing orcs all over the place. It was crazy. But for some reason, like they decided to add this romance type thing between Tauriel and Keely. Okay. How is this relationship going to work? I'm not against like interracial relationships or anything, but what would a cross between an elf and a dwarf look like? What would their kids look like? Would they be like hairy elves or hobbits? So, I mean, as far as the book's story is concerned, I think actually Tauriel is a fairly welcome addition, other than the whole elf on dwarf relationship thing. I mean, seriously, think about it. It's like all guys in the book. Like, no female presence. I guess it was like a thing back in 1918 or whenever the book was published, but seriously, I mean, if you're going to market it to a modern audience, you might as well throw in some female presence. And of course, they have also got this whole thing going on with Gandalf going up against the Necromancer, and also like the orcs up at Dol Guldur. I think that was a pretty intense scene just back there. It was almost like Mordor-esque in terms of intensity. So overall, like I said, the plot does focus a lot more on action than it does like actual story, but I mean, it gets the characters moving along. At long last, we finally get to Erebor. We think, goodness, we can see the dragon. Sorry, trying to restrain the geeking out. You think that's bad? You should have seen me at the theater when they showed him going on. Overall, I think it was definitely an improvement. I mean, it definitely kept things moving a lot more than Unexpected Journey did, which I think was an improvement. But that's not to say that some things didn't kind of lag along. Like, I saw this with my family, and like my mom afterwards, she said that she actually fell asleep during a couple parts. And I'm like, what? How do Okay, so now that we've covered that part, we have to talk about the characters. Obviously, the most important character in the entire story that we've got to talk about is Bilbo Baggins himself. Now, here, he's definitely grown up a lot since the events of Unexpected Journey. As far as his character arc is concerned, I think, like, Unexpected Journey was all about, like, strengthening, like, creating and strengthening his resolve and loyalty to be with the dwarves. And now, here, it's really put to the test. And we really see him come out on top, which I think was great. This is definitely, like, his strongest moments in the book. And also in the movie, because he gets to kick a lot more butt this time around, like, killing spiders, and even lands someone on, like, a couple orcs, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe. But I think the most crucial part about this whole experience of his is this: they actually show the ring's influence on him. Like, we remember the first movie, we see that he's kind of keeping the ring a secret from everyone else. Now here, we really see that starting to take its toll on him. Like, he's fiddling around with it in the middle of the night. And then there's a scene where he's saving the dwarves from the spiders of Mirkwood, and he loses the ring for a little bit, and this trapdoor spider thing comes out, and it's like almost touching the ring, almost about to take it, and then Bilbo, he just snaps, like he's wailing on the thing, like grr, 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 grr. And then he gets the ring back, and he's like, mine. And then we also get this tender moment where he's like, holy smack, what have I done? I think it's really important to see that part. I mean, we obviously know how bad this ring is, unless, like, if we haven't seen The Lord of the Rings yet, but yeah, it obviously shows how much of an influence this ring is having on him already. In the book, it doesn't really seem to be exerting all that much of an influence in him. I mean, I guess, like, he wasn't all that important. Yeah, but it shows that, dude, you pick up this evil ring, you're not going to go unscathed from this. And it's pretty gutsy. And the other character we got to talk about is Tharn Oakenshield. Now, he's going through his own problems. Like, obviously, everyone's been... there's all this prejudice going around. And it just around him in general. Like, everyone's saying... Even the elves are saying, oh, he'll never be king. There is no king of the mountain, nor will there ever be. Everyone's just really against him, going up against this dragon. And I guess they've all got really good motivations for not wanting that thing. Obviously, they don't want the dragon to get out. But, you really feel for Smaug. You really feel for Thorn, because he's been through hell. And he's determined to get his kingdom back, but you can really see, like, some of his character flaws coming out. Like, especially pride and arrogance. Especially. And then, let's see. What else is there to talk about? And of course, we also follow Gandalf as he goes to deal with the Necromancer up at Dol Guldur. And, I really don't feel like he has an arc in this one. I mean, like, he's just going there, well obviously there's these evil things going on, I gotta go take care of him. Yeah, but honestly, I don't see much character development in his department, so not much to talk about there. But he's still freaking awesome! He has his just diehard scenes where he's going up against the Necromancer, it's like this force field. So cool! And then, And this summer, and of course the rest of the characters are fairly minor, but there's one character that I must talk about. That is Smaug. Oh, Smaug, you're amazing! It really is amazing. I mean, they build up so much tension, and it is so rewarding. This version of Smaug is easily the most awesome dragon to have ever been put on film. It's easily one of my top favorites. Note to self, make a top 10 list of my favorite dragons sometime. I will say if there was a disappointment, as like, they made it look like in the earlier film that he would have 6 legs, but here he has 4, like 2 wings and 2 limbs and 2 legs. But honestly, that's not really much of a consequence. It doesn't really affect any of the story. He's still freaking cool! And like, they have him like just buried in their gold, and they show him like craning his head up, and it's like, holy snap, and they show him like his body's like the size of a freaking Airbus. That's the only thing I compare it to. It's so big! And he's also so evil. They kept a lot of the dialogue from the book. I mean, it was pretty darn awesome. And especially when he starts boasting about how awesome he is, because he's awesome. Yeah, and they also throw in a lot of new things, like apparently he's aware of the ring itself. You have something made of gold, but far more precious. Apparently this dragon is like the freaking Hannibal Lecter of dragons. He knows things, man. It's so intense. And when he breathes fire, it's not just like a flamethrower. It's like a bomb went off and all the flames are going all over the place. It's so mad. It's so cool. As I've stated before, I like dragons. I really like dragons. And this was a great dragon because I take them. Okay, enough geeking out. And of course, Smaug is an incredibly crucial part of the story because he reveals so many things, and I've already said like he knows something about the ring. I take back what I said earlier. I don't think he knows what the ring is, but I think he's aware of its power and like how important it is. And he also brings up the fact that he knows about the Arkenstone and how important it is to Thorin and Bilbo. He just reveals so much. He knows what's going on. He knows there's all this evil that's rising up in the south. This is man. He's also, man, he's just, and during this whole scene where he's talking to Bilbo, he's just toying with him. Like a cat and mouse game. We the audience know that he just gobble up Bilbo right then and there and be done with it. But no, he plays with him. And it's just so intense. And he knows what kind of effect the Arkenstone will have on Thorin, and he says to Bilbo, like, he knows that he's almost tempted to let Bilbo take the Arkenstone so he can watch it corrupt Thorin from inside out. And for a moment there's a scene where Thorin and Bilbo actually meet back up and like, we kind of see that. Like, we see that Bilbo realizes that maybe Smaug was right. Like, maybe there is that corruption there. They talk about, like, this dragon sickness and how it's affected Thorin's family over the years. And now we see that it's actually starting to build up in Thorin, and that's really tragic. Yeah, so then I'm not going to reveal too much at the moment, but just know that Smaug is awesome! Man, I can't wait for this to come out on DVD so you can see it too, if you haven't already seen it in theaters. But still, it's awesome! I think overall, the actors playing the parts do a very good job of their roles. They're all clearly taking it very seriously. And now we have to talk about the effects. I saw this movie in like a digital HD, so there were some moments where it was very clear that it was CGI. Like, they open up with a flashback to Bree, where Thorin actually meets up with Gandalf. And it's kind of clear that, yeah, it's a CGI town. I will admit, I do miss the days, I do miss like the effects they had in Lord of the Rings, where it wasn't just a CGI model. They actually went in and built like like a little model of what the whole set would look like. And that was pretty cool. I missed that. But overall, I think the effects in this film were actually pretty darn... I think the effects in this film were pretty darn good for what we got. I mean, they spent millions of dollars. I don't think we can expect anything less. And obviously what's going to top the list is the dragon. Because, oh my gosh, the dragon! I don't think I can say anything more about Smaug than I have already. They say that he was captured through motion capture. Now, apparently they rendered Smaug through motion capture of Benedict Cumberbatch's actual performance. And admittedly, I'm not seeing that too much in the body language. I mean, how do you motion capture a dragon? How do you do that? I really can't wait to see the behind-the-scenes effects on the DVD when it comes out. Yeah, but I think you can really tell, like, they're doing a really great job, like how they modeled the dragon's head. How they made it so it's convincingly reptilian, but it doesn't look like a monkey face like we've seen in past dragons. In other movies. And I think that's a real benefit. It definitely makes it feel like an actual dragon. Smaug is surprisingly expressive, even though he's like... It's a very surprisingly expressive dragon. I really think that it really helps the overall effect. Man, some of these things were so cool, I don't think I'm going to talk about them all in one sitting. I have to talk about the ending, because, like, in the original book, like, the dwarves are just sitting outside the door, just waiting to go on what happens, and then Smaug bursts out and goes off to destroy the town. Here, the dwarves make an effort to actually destroy the dragon themselves, because they promised the people of Lake Town that they would do it. And they go through this, like, amazing scene, which, like, wow, it does kind of take a while to get through. But, and they have this whole elaborate plan to actually drown the dragon in molten gold, and it seems like they won, but then the dragon bursts out of the molten gold. It's like, revenge? I'll show you revenge! He bursts out the door, shakes off the molten gold, and flies towards Lake Town. Bilbo's watching, he's like, what have we done? And then it cuts to black. And the music starts playing, and the credits roll. And I'm like, what? My whole thinking with how they were going to divide up the story was that obviously in the first one, they ended with them being stuck in the Eagle's Eyrie, in the first one. And I thought for this one, they would end with Smaug's death at Lake Town. But no, they just, like, they cut to black. We see Smaug flying off toward the town, and they cut to black. Cliffhanger. Man! I thought Peter Jackson would resort to that. How dare he? But, I mean, it's not like a bad thing. I mean, we know it's coming, so... Yeah, I'm still excited for it. I mean, it's not like a bad cliffhanger. It's like, how dare you, Peter Jackson? One unexpected way to end a movie. I don't think it affects the quality of the film too much, but I would have liked to see, like, a little bit more conciseness and, like, a little less abruptness in this movie, but, you know, for what I got, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a step up from Unexpected Journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have, go see Desolation of Smaug. If you already have, go see it again! Please! Smaug must be known! And that's it for the review. I'd also like to make a very important announcement, given that it's almost the end of the year. As of 2014, I will be focusing my reviews from here on out on animated feature films. You may ask yourself, why do that? Well, for one, I'm a pretty big animation fan. It's kind of a dream of mine to be able to get into the animation business. I mean, I just love animated films in general. I think they have their own style to them, their own special brand that we all connect with, in a way. And that this animation speaks to so many people. I, for one, just love how something that's usually inert can just come to life in the right hands. And I think it's worth taking a look at the animated feature films that have been released theatrically in the United States. or have had like a major impact on animation in general thus far. I think every now and then I'll take a moment to look at some anime features that are actually... I think every now and then I'll take a look at some live-action features that are based on anime features, or at least has something to do with an anime feature. So if you're looking forward to a review of There and Back Again later this year, don't be disappointed, because yeah, that's coming up. So I'll elaborate more on what kind of movies I'll be reviewing, but in the meantime, you guys have a great holiday, and Happy New Year to all of you. This is Movie Dragon 009, signing out.